DuraFleet, welcome back everyone. Guess what? I have a guy I met recently through one of our super cool brokers, Frandevco. Patrick Gaven is not only a Navy SEAL, he's the founder, CEO of DuraFleet. We're going to hear all about this hot new franchise. I love this brand. There are oftentimes I don't really tell you my opinion on a brand because I think sometimes maybe like I'm Oprah, I want to give everybody a platform. Interesting brands, that is. I want to give those brands a platform. This is a brand I have friends I'm going to put in this brand sooner rather than later. And I want to welcome Mr. Patrick Gaven to the podcast.
Up next,
my next response would be, and this is free game that I'm giving you guys, okay?
I love your process and what you described and the way you handle this, because clearly the fact that you do preventative maintenance and oil changes and you're also doing the breakdowns, the emergency service, I can see it right now.
You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to, be the best in the first place at every single evolution, but you just have to not give up, right? That's what they're looking for.
This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing. Welcome, Patrick, to Franchise Fit.
Thank you, Lance. Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me on. It's always a good time spending some time with you. I'm looking forward to having a good conversation and telling the people about DuraFleet.
Awesome. So you're a young guy. Let's talk about you becoming a Navy SEAL real quick. I mean, it's a legendary thing to become a Navy SEAL. What was the biggest obstacle that you faced on your journey to becoming a SEAL?
Sure. Well, yeah, I appreciate the compliment. There's a lot of obstacles when trying to become a Navy SEAL, right? I'd say one personally for me that comes to mind would be what we have an evolution called the 50-meter underwater swim. It's a first or second week of SEAL training, right? And I went to SEAL training right after high school, just turned 18 years old, 2013. And it's time for the 50-meter underwater swim. Now, this evolution, you jump into a 25-meter pool. You have to do a somersault underwater. You can't kick off the wall. Then you have to swim 25 meters to the end, 25 meters back, all underwater, never coming up for air. You get 2 attempts. So my first attempt, I jump in the water, I somersault, I let all my air out, I make it halfway, I come up. So there's no way I can do this. Attempt number 2 comes around, jump in, somersault, blow out all my air again, make it to the other side, I turn around, and I know, right, that if I come up for air, that's the last of me ever being the SEAL, right? My chance is gone, I'm getting dropped, and that's it. So I said, the only other option for me is to keep swimming and to swim down towards the bottom of the pool so I can't come up. And I did that, and about 2 strokes on my way back, I ended up passing out underwater. The instructors pull me out, give me CPR, and I wake up, and unfortunately I didn't make it to the other end. But because I didn't quit, right, they allowed me to get rolled back and try again in the next class when everybody else who didn't come up for air ended up getting dropped from the program. So what that taught me right off the bat was that, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to, be the best in the first place at every single evolution, but you just have to not give up, right? That's what they're looking for. And so I got to take that kind of mindset and thought throughout all of the evolutions that we do throughout SEAL training, and I wasn't trying to be the best or number one or the fastest or the strongest. I just wasn't going to quit, and I wasn't going to give up, and I wasn't going to stop moving forward. And I think that helped me get through the next 2 years of the pipeline and eventually graduating and becoming a Navy SEAL.
I absolutely love this story, and there's many old expressions about not quitting, but you certainly can't beat a guy that doesn't quit. And I love this.
That is true. That is very true.
So why fleet maintenance? Where did the idea of DuraFleet come from? Talk about that.
Yeah, so I got out of the Navy in 2021, joined corporate America for a little bit, like most people do, and found out very quickly that wasn't for me. So I knew I wanted to start my own business. What that was going to be, I don't know. I didn't start DuraFleet because I love turning wrenches, because I think, as most of us know, I certainly did not know how to turn a wrench when I founded DuraFleet. I did start it because I saw a gap, right? I saw a gap in the market. Fleet managers are stuck between slow traditional shops and unreliable one-man operators that you see here in your local areas. Right? There was no professional, systemized, brand-driven mobile fleet service that was built for scale. So I built one. Right? DuraFleet isn't just mobile repair, it's standardized, KPI-driven fleet infrastructure that can scale nationally without losing accountability with our customers. The mobile fleet repair industry has always existed, right? This isn't anything new. I didn't create this business model. What hasn't existed is the discipline inside of it. So for years, it's been very fragmented, right? You've got independent techs, inconsistent pricing, reactive service instead of proactive service. And I believe fleet service deserves structure, accountability, and a real brand behind it. So DuraFleet was built to bring systems into an industry that desperately needed them. And at some point I realized if fleets depend on their trucks to make money and trucks depend on service to move, then service isn't a cost center, it's more of revenue protection. And that changed everything for me.
So Patrick, in the fleet business, are your customers buying based on price, based on speed, based on the trust? I mean, what actually closes the deal with them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally believe that you can have one without the other. You know, a cheap price, but you can't get to them for a week is no better than them bringing it to a shop. Or, you know, fast service with outrageous prices can also cause problems. And you certainly can't maintain a strong, long-lasting relationship in this industry without trust. So finding the balance between all three of these, I believe, is what closes the deal, right? Fleet managers buy on risk reduction. Speed gets you the meeting, price gets compared, and trust closes the deal, right? A fleet manager is asking themselves, if something goes wrong, will this company be there to help me resolve the issue when I need them the most? If they believe that the answer is yes, then the deal usually closes. Lowest price alone won't win you customers, just like the fastest service won't win them either. There has to be a perfect balance and a perfect blend of all three of these ingredients to operate a successful DuraFleet franchise.
I gotta believe that when you were starting, especially with the trust factor of this, isn't it easier to build trust when you have some sort of brick and mortar location that people are building? I mean, you did something pretty crazy. You said, I'm going to build a mobile business, and you're not even a mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, trust can be built in many different ways, right? It doesn't have to be a physical location that they see, you know, inside of an industrial area. Trust is built by our franchisees getting out there and meeting face-to-face with the customers, right? Showing up in a nice branded polo, a nicely wrapped service truck, a professional-looking mechanic in a branded uniform, right? Bringing marketing materials with them, following up with them, you know, keeping customer interactions at all-time high, right? That's how you build trust. You finish a job, you follow up with them. Was it up to your liking? Was it up to your standards? If it wasn't, adjust, right? And keeping that line of communication open is what builds trust. It's not just, there's plenty of brick and mortars out there who you see have horrible reputations, horrible Google reviews, right? Just because we're mobile doesn't mean you can't build trust. In fact, I think it forces us to build more trust because we have to get in front of these customers versus them coming to us.
All right, so the reality is you took a couple of years to build this. This thing is just crushing it, and I'm excited to say very, very low-cost investment for those folks listening. The item 7 in the franchise disclosure document, which is the investment. You're in this thing for less than $150,000. You pay your franchise fee, marketing, you hire your first mechanic, and for you folks listening, $1.24 million, just under $1.25 million is what he showed for last year. 31% EBITDA after royalties. That's $392,000 net, $392,000 net with 2 mechanics. So how many mechanics, you want to build a $5 million business? How many mechanics would you like? At this point, each of your mechanics did over $500,000, right, Patrick?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, you could basically take $500,000 as a good baseline. You know, once you're up and running for a little bit and you get the hang of it, and then just multiply that by however many mechanics you need to reach the total revenue that you're looking to make. Right? It's not
So you
rocket
launched franchising recently. You already have what? 2 signed, 3 signed? I forgot the number.
3 signed with the 4th coming this week. Yep.
Amazing. And your territories are rather large. You're not giving away, 100,000 population. I mean, these are big territories.
Yeah, intentionally too, right? Our territory is a minimum of 350,000 population, as well as we want to see a certain amount of businesses inside of that population because that is our customer base. Obviously, for our founding franchisees, we're being quite generous, right? Especially in these hot markets. So if you are in a popular territory, right now is the time to get in while generosity is at an all-time high from the franchisor.
Yeah, you say popular territory. Anywhere in Florida, anywhere in Texas, anywhere in the very user-friendly states, if you will. But I think this is going to be a hit everywhere. I got somebody in Florida I'm going to introduce you guys to this week.
Perfect.
I would be remiss in not bringing up the whole ringing the bell in Navy SEAL training. It seems like so many people listening, I'm sure, as myself, I've seen that before, and that's people giving up throughout training. There are people that get into business ownership and simply give up. A lot of times they pick the wrong business, they pick the wrong franchise. That's why consultants like myself are helpful because we're going to find people the right fit. Tell me a story. I mean, there's got to be a moment through your training where you were thinking of ringing the bell. I mean, hey, I might quit, you thought to yourself. Was there ever a moment like that?
Yeah, I think everybody has at least one defining moment that really, really, crossed their mind and they came close. If they said they didn't, they're probably lying. For me, I have one moment in SEAL training where I was very close. It was during Hell Week, right, which most people know about. 5.5 days, very, very little sleep, hundreds of miles ran, miles swam, nonstop physical exercise. You get a single nap, I think about day 3 or day 4, right? It was about a 30-minute nap we took, maybe an hour. And I remember waking up from this nap, right? The instructors woke us up with the bullhorns, it's loud, it's now dark outside, and they wanted us to go hit the surf, right? Go in the ocean and get wet. It was at that moment, I could barely open my eyes, I could barely walk, where I just did not want to go in that ocean, right? The temperature is probably sub 50, it's winter. Nothing about that made me excited. And I remember just slowly walking to the surf, right, to the ocean, and really questioning my time there, right, if I was about to ring that bell. But I kept walking, and before you know it, right, I'm ankle deep, now I'm knee deep, now I'm waist deep, and I'm chest deep, and I'm all the way in, right, and I kind of snapped myself out of it, and I'm seeing guys literally quitting in front of me. And I can remember telling myself, like, that's not going to be me. Right? I'm not about to go follow this guy to go talk to the instructor to quit. Right? I have a day and a half left. I've already made it this far. So I think that translates well into business, right? Especially as a DuraFleet franchisee. There's going to be days where it's hard, right? And you're going to wake up and you don't want to do it anymore. But if you just keep going, you step by step, small win after small win, that bad day is behind you and you're on to better days. So it's definitely a good mindset to have, just one foot in front of the other, and eventually like, that pain you're feeling now will subside and you're on to to brighter pastures.
I love that story. Talk a little bit about hiring. Everyone today seems to be a little freaked out about having employees. A typical brand new first-time business owner, franchisee, probably is not going to have any industry experience and very little experience even hiring for that matter. So how did you figure out the secret sauce to hiring mechanics?
Yeah, I mean, trial and error, right? I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. I just hired mechanics and I kind of learned that way based on what I was learning, right? About them, about the jobs we were doing, the experience that I needed. The good thing about our franchise system is we support our franchisees throughout that process, right? We start from training, interview scripts, right? We role play, we give them job posting templates, we provide them with equipment lists that the mechanics should have, right, based on their experience level, mock interviews, whatever support they need to feel comfortable about the mechanic, right? We can listen in on interviews, we can give feedback. We obviously can't hire for them, but we can do just about everything else. So they can take my, trial and error and all the mistakes that I made, and, hopefully be able to hire a stellar mechanic from day one. It's not impossible, right? Mechanics, there's still plenty out there. They all need jobs. They're all just looking for a good leader who appreciates them, who respects them, and they want to enjoy where they work, right? So if you can create an environment where these guys like coming to work for you every day, finding mechanics and more importantly retaining mechanics is not going to be as hard as people may think that it is.
So what is really the secret if you're a new franchisee? What is the launch protocol, so to speak, with marketing? Because obviously you have some secrets. You'd probably have to kill me to reveal this on the podcast, but clearly you built a hell of a business on your own, walking into different groups and saying, hey, we're mobile mechanics. Probably have nobody like us, but what does that pitch what's that pitch like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't sell maybe the same way other people sell, or how you would maybe think that you sell. In terms of marketing, how do we support our franchisees? I could touch on that quick, right? Obviously, they get their own landing page on our website, location specific. We run their SEO, we manage their Google ads, we manage their Google business profile, social media, right? We get the visibility out there for all digital marketing, right? We also have regional account relationships that we get our franchisees signed up with so they can start getting business from day one, right? Eventually those regional accounts will turn into national accounts and we'll continue to feed work to our franchisees. But more importantly, I teach them personally how to go out and get business, right? You're gonna hear the same customer objection all the time, right? Which is, oh, thank you, but we already have another vendor for fleet maintenance, right? How I respond to that is simply, look, I completely understand. That makes a lot of sense. Most of our best accounts had someone when we first approached them as well, right? This right there is going to lower the resistance off the bat, right? I'm not trying to come in and just steal business. Now, assuming this is a scheduled meeting with the fleet manager, my next response would be, and this is free game that I'm giving you guys, okay? Yeah, I'm certainly not here to try and replace anyone, but if they were perfect and you were incredibly happy with the service, you and I probably wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today. Is that a fair assumption? Right? More than likely, they'll agree. So from here, we'll position ourselves as a backup, right? But this is where most companies fail. I don't position DuraFleet as a replacement. I position us as insurance, right? We don't try to replace your current provider. We position ourselves as your overflow, emergency backup. Whenever you got your customer or your current vendor is booked out, unavailable, it's after hours, we step in. Now the fear of switching vendors abruptly is gone, right? So after that, we're going for we want to close with a small yes from them. That's all. So then I asked, well, would it hurt to have a second mobile option in your contacts in case something urgent comes up? That's easy to say yes to, right? Why would you say no to that? Then we immediately follow up with something like, well, how about this? I want to put my money where my mouth is. Why don't you give us one or two services that you have coming up? Let us show you what we can do. If you like us, you have a phenomenal secondary, so you ensure you never have downtime. If you don't like us, then you and I never have to waste each other's time again. That sounds like a win-win, right? Great, let's get something on the books. Now after that, you provide them with a 5-star service, they're gonna question more and more just how much their company is really worth keeping on as primary, right? Chances are whoever they're currently using has been with them for a long time and no longer treats them as a priority, right? They're not living up to the same standards we do here at DuraFleet, making the decision to continue using us even easier. So it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of figuring out how to reframe the way you sell to customers and position yourself as the industry leader, focusing on the benefits they receive when working with us. These are things I teach our franchisees in training, lots of role playing, right? From day one, they're gonna feel confident to go out and do this on their own, with or without me. But then we're gonna do our site visits, right? And if we have to shadow our franchisees, we're happy to do that. If we have to, join in on sales calls, we're happy to do that. But we provide them everything that they need. So they don't need experience in turning wrenches and mechanics, right? We teach them how to sell, and we let their mechanics do that.
I love your process and what you described and the way you handle this, because clearly the fact that you do preventative maintenance and oil changes, and you're also doing the breakdowns, the emergency service, I can see it right now. They put your number in their phone, and it all starts or can start with an emergency breakdown. Nobody else is answering their phone in the middle of the night, but you and your team will. And that's how
Yeah.
you gain the business and gain the trust. I know that's happened before.
Most of our relationships start with the breakdown work, right? Maybe we just had a meeting with them. We're trying to get their fleet maintenance right, just to get that reoccurring revenue, start building the relationship. But usually after that, a lot of companies, they're not mobile, or if they are, maybe they just can't support, right, these kind of quick response emergency breakdowns. So that's when they call us. And then when you get somebody out there right away and you get that truck or trailer or whatever they're driving back on the road, in an hour and a half, you very quickly set the tone. Wow, these guys are the real deal. They're not messing around. You're going to see just how fast they're going to start texting you, emailing you every day with more and more work until eventually you do become that primary, because they're not going to be able to justify not using you anymore.
So, Patrick, what's the number one Navy SEAL habit that makes you money in business?
Oh, the number one Navy SEAL habit that makes me money in business would just be, my discipline and my ability to keep moving forward and not quit, right? You hear it all the time from other SEALs and special operations, right? It's just kind of our no quit mentality, which is something that I work on with our franchisees, right? Not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows. Not every day is going to be, perfect, right? You're going to have mechanics that call out sick, or you have to let go, or a customer's really upset about something, and it's going to be not fun, right? But going back to the story earlier about, not wanting to get in the water, if you just have small win after small win, take care of this problem, then move on to the next one, before you know it, all the day's problems are behind you and you're moving on to the next day. Right? Most small businesses fail because they give up, because they quit. Right? If you don't quit, it's not possible to fail. It's just not. So just having that no quit attitude, no matter how bad you think it is in the moment, being able to step back, take it all in, process it, and then create a plan, in a checklist of items to resolve all those issues. That's how you're going to stay in business for a long, long time.
Patrick, you've been an amazing guest. You get the final word, final thoughts, final words of advice for the audience, potential first-time business owners.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are looking for a business to get in, if you're a prior veteran, if you've got really any business experience, or you just, want to work for yourself, I strongly suggest you guys come check out DuraFleet Franchising. Reach out to myself or our team at Frandevco, like Lance mentioned at the beginning of the call.
Or just me.
Or just Lance, even better. That's a win-win for all of us. You don't need to be a mechanic. You don't need mechanical experience. We teach you everything you need. We give you all the support that you need. Very few businesses can you run such a lean operation, right? One mechanic, one truck to start, and potentially, do the numbers that we've been seeing with the margins that we have. It just doesn't exist very often. So we'd love to entertain anyone that wants to learn more about the opportunity. And I really, really appreciate you having me on, Lance, and look forward to doing more of these with you in the future.
My pleasure, Patrick. Thank you for being here, and I will definitely see you soon. Take care, everybody.